remember one talked to me, but I still point back into it.
Where you go or what you do, your mount will accompany you on your journey. Perhaps.
One of the big questions we've always had is that Harry looks exactly like James, except for the eyes.
Yes, that's true.
But we've always said, like,
Just
what would
the
happen
eyes
if
and the
Harry
eyes.
had been, like, Lily's double? You know? And so,
right.
like, all
Yeah,
of a sudden when he
exactly.
showed up... And I mean, Ginny could possibly... I don't know, maybe not really be a good case study for it. But, you know, the question would be, like, if Harry showed up and was the spitting image of Lily, would Snape have treated him differently?
Oh, man, yeah. It feels like he would have, yeah.
It feels like he would have, yeah, because he would have been looking at, you know, this person he loved rather than this person he despised.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's always what's weird to me, is that
true.
it's like, you know, Snape is so mean, but like
Oh.
this person is still part Lily.
Oh, the other thing here is Harry forced himself to keep looking straight into those cold eyes. The other thing Snape could be doing is looking at Harry's eyes, because that's the part of him that looks like Lily.
You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy, that's... Just gave myself chills.
I know, that is
That's
weird.
true,
That does
just
sound-
his
I think that's
eyes
more likely.
I think that's more likely,
Him
yeah.
reading his mind in that moment, yeah.
Yeah, because this is like the first time he would have seen it, like seen Harry's eyes properly.
Oh, man.
it's weird.
That is weird.
Okay.
Yeah,
Moving on.
it is
The next thing he says, or the next thing he reveals, is that Monkshood and Wolfsbane are the same plant. They go by the name of aconite. I feel like, in retrospect, this feels like a light, Lupin reference,
Yeah.
as well, because Wolfsbane is part of the Wolfsbane potion, and this is sort of just like an early hint. I guess Snape might not know how much Harry knows about like James and his friends or anything,
Sure.
but this is like it feels like if you're including this to Harry, then it's like, yes, I know about the werewolf kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
point. And I mean, especially if
Yeah, but
the, you know,
if
if you were to
it's
make the
over
assertion,
that,
and I'd be curious if you could
this
draw anything out from these other questions that he's asking, if he is in some way, shape, or form alluding to each of the founders and Lily. In any way, shape, or form, like I mean, like we said, I mean, one of the things he's asked about is possibly already a direct reference to the loss of Lily Potter. You know, and if this one here is supposed to be a little reference to Lupin, it's like, does the Bazour or what else does he have in here? He has a few questions that he kind of like rattles off all at once. It would just be interesting if like somehow they were like
Yeah.
that's the Sirius Black reference, or like that's
Yeah.
the Peter reference.
That would be interesting. Yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
because we can try and look further
I know, yeah,
into that, but it does seem like at least two of them get referenced right there.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
As we move forward a little bit, we see that, you know, like Neville obviously right away is starting to sort of struggle under the pressure that comes from Snape's teaching methods.
He just straight up calls him an idiot.
Yeah, I underlined that.
I know, like so uncalled for. Like, it's one thing to hate Harry because he looks like your mortal enemy.
Yeah.
It is another to just bully Neville for no reason.
Oh, and
Yeah.
no. Well, I mean, even then, you know, he even takes it out on Harry one step further after poor Neville's already been sent to the hospital wing. You, Potter, why didn't you tell him not to add the quill? Thought he'd make you look good if he got it wrong, did you? It's like, Snape, how are you pulling this stuff? Like, how are you? I don't even know how you think to be this mean.
I know. It's like, you know, he's just down
Yeah,
there teaching the
he's
6 years
saying
Hufflepuffs
all
at one
this
point in the end. He's like,
stuff,
what?
isn't he?
What is this? Where's Potter? This is his fault.
This is,
Yeah.
you know what? I bet it was Harry. I bet it,
This has got Potter all over
all
it.
over it. It's like I was in a different class, sir.
I'm not even in Hufflepuff. Yeah. So this is not relevant yet, but I always love to imagine what it's like for Snape to have to teach Luna potions.
Oh yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
just feel like
yeah.
that'd be really funny.
No, it would be hilarious to see Luna in Snape's class, because I'd like to think that Luna would just be good at this. You know, like, I mean, she is a Ravenclaw. I mean,
Yeah.
she's very intelligent. Like, I like to think that like she'd be the type of person who would just like intuitively know some of like the prince's secrets.
Oh, I know.
Like I
Yeah.
added the sprig of peppermint. It's believed that blah blah blah, and it's like
I
it's
know, like she's getting the right answers for the wrong reasons or
Yes,
something. Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm
That's so
careful.
Luna, which
Yeah.
which I feel like would be that could be like a skit unto itself.
Yeah.
Like, just like watching Snape be like, That is a good point.
Yeah.
I can't fault what you did. It all worked out. As we move forward onto the next page, Ron is trying to cheer up Harry, and we do get another one of those references to Fred and George.
Yep.
Where, speaking of Snape teaching other students, it says Snape's always taking points off of Fred and George, which, is kind of like one of those things. It's just sort of a testament. Again, that's like Fred and George are doing it right. If Snape doesn't like you, it's like that means you're probably...
You got it right. Yeah. Doing a good thing there.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Otherwise, Hagrid spent half his life chasing your twin brothers away from the forest. Like, what are they doing in there?
Yep.
Who knows?
This is like one of those things where I have since learned, thanks to the Great British Baking Show, that rock cakes are in fact just a common British like food.
But this I always thought was just sort of like a slam on Hagrid's cooking.
That is what I thought as well. Yeah, but in fact, rock cakes are something that you would commonly find, I think, in like a like a British environment. But like the fact that it's also paired up with the fact that they're like tooth breaking, it's sort of like it just sort of seems like what he's effectively doing is serving something that's closer to a rock than a cake.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Like rock cakes are a thing. Hagrid is making rock cakes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's something that forever and ever and ever I would have just I always would have assumed that was like a wizarding thing, not a.
This is like stirring up a completely random memory in my brain from 4th grade when there was a class trip we went on to Williamsburg.
Okay.
And I remember that it was like an overnight trip, so this is like the big 4th grade trip you got to go on.
Amazing.
And while you're there, I think Mom came and she chaperoned, and I was like so excited to get like souvenirs for everyone else in the family. Had to bring them back some like handmade soap or something like that.
Right.
And I think one of the things were these I think they were called it was like hard rolls or something, but they were just these it was exactly what it sounds like. It's like a very just stale piece of bread, I think, or like a really, really hard piece of bread. And I remember thinking I'm getting this for Dad, obviously, so excited. I was like, this is such a cool thing. Like it's hard on purpose.
He's like, he's gonna love it.
He's gonna love it. Yeah, no, 4th grade me was like, I'm so excited to give this to Dad. And I remember I can still picture him at the table absolutely doing his best to seem excited about it and not be able to take a bite of it because it was such a hard roll.
Rock solid. I don't think I've ever heard that story, but that's hysterical.
It just made me think of it, and I was like, oh, now I feel so embarrassed. I must have misunderstood the roles or something as a child, but I was like, I understand this completely, and it's so cool.
Well, I love that Mom was just completely. She was there, and she was like, "Do it." She was like, "I cannot wait to see Dad's face when you present him with a rock hard roll." Anyway, well, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Good to know that we've all been there.
Yep.
Let's see. Going forward, we hear Hagrid talking a little bit about Mrs. Norris. And
I know.
There's sort of like an interesting line that I was kind of curious as to whether or not you can pull a string on, or if we ever have in the past, if anything tickles your thoughts there. But one of the things that we learn is Hagrid says, as for the cat, Mrs. Norris, I'd like to introduce her to Fang sometime. Do you know every time I go up to the school, she follows me everywhere. Can't get rid of her. Filch puts her up to it, I think. And this is like one of those where it's like, why would Mrs. Norris follow Hagrid everywhere?
Right? Yeah, I don't know.
This is because that. It almost feels like that must mean something suspicious.
Yeah.
Or perceived suspicious about Hagrid. I don't really like Filch or Mrs. Norris, but and for that matter, I love Hagrid, but I can't really figure out why that would happen.
Well, I guess the Hagrid is assumed to have opened the Chamber of Secrets.
True.
The teachers, I guess, would know that, why he was expelled. So I suppose Filch could just be openly,
perceiving his presence at the school as an attack on the rules of the school, maybe.
Sure.
He should have been expelled and gone for that instead of immediately being hired on as an employee with keys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, Dumbledore's hiring of Hagrid. I love Hagrid. And clearly Dumbledore's right about it, but what he must have said what he must have said to Armando Dippet, it's oh yeah, moaning Myrtle, Myrtle Warren's dead, and we're pretty much the best student ever. Tom Riddle, he found the murderer. He found it's Hagrid. We found the monster. It's definitely him. Hear me out. We hire him, and I know he murdered someone, but what if we give him
allegedly give him
keys to every door in the castle? Just We'll call him the keeper of the keys.
It'll be fine. It'll
It's
be fine.
fine.
Yeah, it's a safe roll.
It's a safe role for this possible murderer.
Yeah. I don't know how he was able to successfully pull that off.
Yeah, and Manuel Gifford was probably Elvis. Are you serious right now? Like, are you really watching me to have this 13-year-old boy